Trails is one of the longest and thickest series out there, like me. And with the remake of Trails in the Sky coming out recently, quite a few newcomers are coming into this franchise. I'm one of them, and getting into a giant new JRPG series can be rather intimidating, so in this video I want to go over my overall quick tips about how to play Trails in the Sky, what to be on the lookout for, to help make your first foray into Trails as seamless and as enjoyable as possible. Hello everyone, I am Jmulls, and let's walk this trail into the sky! That was sick.
Sink his fangs into Joshua!
So let's get you in and out of here rather quickly. I got some quick tips for you for Trails in the Sky first chapter. First off, if you don't want to be walking and running around the world slowly, you can hold the right bumper button and then also the left bumper, and it triggers high speed mode and allows you to move at super fast speeds, both in and out of combat. It's rather nice, especially for like, if you're just fighting a bunch of mobs you don't particularly care all that much about, and you just want to get out of the section rather quickly, or you just want something rather fast-paced at that point in time. It's nice to be able to have it as an option. You can like toggle this in and out of combat if you want, so if you want to slow things down, you can do that, and if right now you want to speed things up and get the move on, you can also do that. I am someone who uses this ability all the time. Next up, let's break through the ice of the Orbal system, because there's a lot of terminology here, a lot of different like systems that are playing with each other that can make it kind of confusing, and as someone who has played the original Trails in the Sky, and it's still pretty similar to that, let me hopefully make it even a bit more simple for you. So think of it like the materia system from some of these older Final Fantasy games. You have your various quartz here, and think of these like your materia. You can make them by spending a resource you acquire in combat, or by like collecting things in various chests called sepith. So if I want to make this defense 2-1, well, that's going to cost me 300 earth sepith. But what this quartz does, it gives me a 10% defense buff, but it also gives me 2 elemental value for earth, and depending upon the specific quartz, think of them like materia yet again, you get different elemental values. Some of them even give you multiple different types of values. You may be going, well, Jmulls, where do I get my actual spells from? Where do I get my odds? Well, that is actually dependent upon when you put those quartz into the right slot. So each of the characters has this little like doohickey, right? And each of these slots you can put a quartz. So for this one for Estelle, I have hit 2, this one cast 2, attack 2, mind 2, break 2. And I don't have enough sepith to actually unlock this one. But it's different for each of the characters, and sometimes a specific slot for a character can only be used with specific types of quartz. But let's take a look at this one, hit 2. It gives me 2 light, but it also gives me plus 20 to strength and plus 80% to ACC. But I can swap it out for whatever other quartz that I want, at least for this slot. If I want to put an impede 2 in there instead, I lose the effects of the hit 2, but I gain the effects of impede 2. But I also lose the elemental value of hit 2, and I instead gain the elemental value of impede 2. And it's based upon the total elemental value you have equipped for each of these characters that will determine what odds, think of them like magic spells, you will be able to use for that character. And you can see at the far right of the screen, if I want to be able to use an ability like Petrify Breath, I would need 3 earth and 2 wind. Earth Wall would require 4 earth and 3 light. I actually have 3 light, so if I want Earth Wall, I would just have to find a way to get the 4 earth. So for instance, if I put Strike 2 on instead of Hit 2, I lose the light value of Hit 2, but I gain the fire value of Strike 2. So I lose the ability to use Latia because I lose that light, but because of the extra fire, I gain access to an ability called Firebolt EX. And if you want to see what all the various odds can do, just hit the left stick and it throws up a list of all of them. And if you hit the X button over here, you'll be able to see the required elements for each of these individual spells. It's nice to be able to keep track, to be able to judge, oh, if I want to use Aerostorm, I need to find a way to squeeze some more wind in here. You do this for each of the characters, and it allows you to build these characters in such a way where, because of the mechanics of the game, they still feel unique in terms of playstyle, but you can give them their own little spice, their own uniqueness, their twist when it comes to what abilities they are bringing to the table in the magic department based upon what quartz you have slotted into these various slots. So there's a lot of terminology like Orb element, quartz, all the various stats, elemental value, elements, Orbal, all these words. It's a rather simple but interesting system when you get into the meat and potatoes of it. You make these various quartz, think of them like materia, by spending your sepith. You unlock various slots for each of the characters by again spending sepith, and then you just slap in the quartz into each of these slots to get a build that is to your liking. Maybe you run into an area where a bunch of enemies are rather weak to fire. Well, maybe it would behoove you to put a bunch of fire abilities on these characters so they get fire spells. You can think like that as you progress the game. One other thing I would really recommend keeping an eye out for is accessories. These accessories down here give you like resist poison 75%, blind 75%, sleep, seal, mute, burn, freeze, petrify. You don't really need these in the early game, but if the game's anything like the original was, when you get to the later portions of the game, these status effects become really gnarly, and some fights can be really hard if you don't plan your build accordingly. For instance, if you come across a rather tough boss fight that can put your characters to sleep and or like mute them or seal them, that can really put you on the back foot to where you're trying to heal all your characters all the dang time instead of just having these accessories on them to make sure they don't get hit by those specific status effects. It is kind of RPG 101, though if you're anything like me, you can kind of forget if you get into the heat of the moment sometimes. It's important to always just bear these ideas in mind and try to get some of these accessories early on and possibly even upgrade them. It's not anything mandatory in my opinion, it's something just nice to keep in the back of your mind and to prepare accordingly throughout the game. That way when you come across a fight that may require you to say, hey, I don't want to even have to worry about being poisoned, I can just slap poison accessories on all my characters and have to no longer pay attention to that entire mechanic. It's nice to be able to do that. And then also back at the Orbal vendor, by the way, you can also customize. This is where you augment your gear. This comes online a little bit later into the game, but it allows you to upgrade various pieces of gear that you have available to you and just makes them better. For instance, you know all of those accessories that were only like 75% effective against those status effects? You can upgrade them to 100%. So just remove the RNG from it. You can also upgrade the quartz specifically as well if you want to. One of the main materials, not the only one, but one of the main ones you'll spend doing this is called U material. You really don't have to think about it too much. The game kind of throws it at you. It doesn't give you an infinite amount of it, but I get plenty of U material just like playing the game at my own pace to where I've been able to upgrade pretty much everything I've actually wanted. Next up is a big one, and it's easy to forget, especially if you only played the original game, and it's the food system. Cooking has a big element in this game, because not only are dishes themselves really good, and it can be a complete game changer if you're on the back foot. Like, if you have the mute effect on your character and they're also rather low HP, instead of picking one or the other, you can just slap a full mouth soup on them and they get 1400 HP back and also cures their mute. But there's a completionist angle to these cooking recipes, because for the first time you make a successful version of that dish, you get a buff. So like the first time you ever make maple cookies, your characters get 20 HP. Yeah, just like max HP goes up by 20. I don't think these are temporary either. These are just nice little buffs you get by just making these meals, and they're rather easy. Most of the time you might find yourself just with the ingredients that you need and you can just cook the thing, like I can now with the full mouth soup. I've never made this dish before. I'll have Joshua make it because he has a smiley face. I'll have him make a couple of them, and then there we go, have him cook it up. Soup's up, dude, and he messes it up, and I got oily soup instead. Let's try beef steak and have Estelle cook it. Let's see if she's any better than her brother. Okay, we're cooking up a meal, cooking up a fancy meal, and we made it successfully at least once, but we get the dodge rate increase. There we go. And you can find various vendors in these like towns that may stock some of the ingredients you need to make these dishes, or they might even stock various pieces of food that you can eat to then learn the recipe, because if you want to learn a recipe, you have to eat a dish for the first time. Like, I've never eaten floury jelly, I don't know the recipe for this thing. This vendor sells it, so I can buy the dish. I've already bought one, but I'll buy another one because why not? I can then go find that dish somewhere. It heals 1000 HP and ATS 2 up arrows for 2 tons. I'll just eat that because why not? I have now learned the recipe, and if I have the ingredients, I can then make that dish. And in fact, I do have the recipe, and for the first time that I make the dish, I gain 4 strength. That's pretty dang nice. So you know what? I'm going to make 3 of them because why not? Give me my strength buff. Let's go. Beautiful. I failed one of them, but 2 succeeded, so I get my strength plus 4 buff. The game gives you a lot of ways to make your characters stronger, and it's easy to lose track of them or just end up ignoring one of them because you're so focused on other elements of the game. At least I do that, you know? So this video is like half for you and also half to remind myself to keep up with these various systems. There's one element to the combat that I think is also rather important to keep in the back of your mind, so let's get into an actual fight here. So the steal mechanic. You see with the turn orders how the characters have various like elements associated with them. Well, you can actually steal them if they're on an enemy. There's a few ways to do it. Hitting an enemy with an impede ability does do it. So if I hit this mole with Comet on Estelle, she'll steal that thing, and you can see the next time Estelle goes, let me move the face cam so you can actually see it, she now has that same AT bonus that the mole had. Some of them are nice, 2 are very important, critical and 0 odds. Critical, damage and healing effects increase by 50%. That's really nice if you need to do a bunch of damage or heal a bunch in one given turn. But bear in mind, enemies also can gain these bonuses, so if you don't want them to get critical, you might want to steal that ability from them. And 0 odds can also be a game changer. If a character or an enemy has it, it allows them to instantly cast aughts without EP consumption. So they're not wasting any time, and they're also not spending anything. They just get a free spell cast pretty much. That is a very powerful one, and if you're able to properly manage these various elements of this game's combat system, it can really turn the tide of combat. Again, it's just something to bear in mind. On top of that as well, you can also customize these characters with various costumes. You do have to find the vendor. I can never remember which one it is, but you can see here, for just the price of a couple mirror, I can get various hair colors for each of these characters. I get some glasses. I can get cat ears and a cat tail. I can buy multiple of them if I want to. So if you're someone who likes to customize their characters and get a little bit of a unique look going, and you want to make Estelle look like Miku, you can do that if you want to. If you want to give Scheherazade a cat tail and also cat ears, that is also your prerogative, and you can do it if you want to. One other thing to keep in mind is that when you use your S-crafts in combat, yes, when you hit 100 CP, you can then use your S-craft, and sometimes you'll want to do that. But if you pull your CP all the way up to 200, the more and more CP you get after 100, it makes that S-craft even more powerful. And proper use and management of your S-crafts can really turn the tide of combat. They're very powerful tools. And then one last thing, it's nothing too special, just like if you care about the side quests in this game, do bear in mind some of them have a deadline. Like for instance, this one, the Ansel Path Monster, it has a short deadline. If I don't do this and I just choose to do the main story for a little bit, I might lose the ability to actually be able to do this quest, and it might just fail. Nothing bad really happens if you don't do them. It's just if you're someone that wants to do a bunch of side content, just whenever you have the opportunity, hop back into the guild, check the various quests. If there's any available, do them. If not, well, just go on about your day.
Sink his fangs into Joshua.
One last thing before we wrap up here, because I always forget these things because I don't remember them in the original. You have the droplets. These are one-time permabuffs to your characters. I believe they're permanent. And if you want my recommendation, I would say use them on Estelle and Joshua, because as someone who's played the original, those are the characters you're going to play with throughout the entire game. You'll have various other like characters join the party, but they'll come and go. So you don't want to like dump all of these things into a character that you're probably not going to see again for a few chapters. Personally, I value consistency, so I'm going to dump all of these droplets on Estelle and Joshua and make them really strong. So I'm just going to drop these onto Estelle and Joshua, because why not? Let's get Joshua up to say like 95 or 94, I guess. I'll put some magic on Joshua and Estelle. I have 10 spirits, so I'll just throw that on Estelle, put a couple onto Joshua as well, and then there you go. I played the original Trails in the Sky not too long before the remake came out, and I absolutely adored it. I am loving the remake as well. But I remember those early hours in the original game where I just kind of felt like a fish out of water and just being thrown so many different terms and vocabulary that I just didn't know or get. But if you play around with these systems for a little bit and you experiment and you try new things, I think it will make a lot of sense, because when you start to understand how these various elements work, they're very fun. It can lead to a lot of really interesting combinations and synergies for the characters, and it's just a really good combat loop. I know there's a lot of games in Trails, and I've only ever played the original Trails in the Sky myself, but what I'm doing when I'm tackling this series is I want to take my time with them. I don't want to rush through all of the games individually because there's so many out, right? I feel one of the biggest issues with a lot of like modern gaming is that it can be too goal oriented and people try too much to optimize getting from point A to point B. The way I'm tackling this series, I'm just going one title at a time. I don't feel the need, I don't feel the want to just get through all the games to be able to catch up as fast as humanly possible because I want to allow each of the individual games to shine and show me why they are so special. I think with Trails in the Sky, especially with the original, one of the genuinely brilliant elements of that game was just enjoying the world, enjoying the pacing, and enjoying the vibe. And also, believe me, I must have the second game. I know the ending. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm just gonna say you're gonna want to play the next game immediately. Believe me, when you get into this series, when you get into these games, when it gets those hooks into you, it gets them deep. It got them deep into me when I beat the original. I think Trails in the Sky, at least the original, and going off what I've played of the remake so far, it's also included here, it just gets better and better as time goes on. With that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. You can find all my socials in the description down below. And if you want to see my reaction to one of the funniest scenes in this game that I've played so far, you should check out this video right here because Olivier is the GOAT. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.